So there we go. And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Social Impact Plight of the Black Man in America show with your host, Deontay Cooley, and my co-host, Brother Malcolm Pulliam. Malcolm, how you feeling?
Yes, sir. I feel good.
And then we also have a special guest tonight, Mr. Ejay Fyke. Ejay, how you feeling this evening?
I'm feeling good. Feeling good. How about you fellas?
I'm feeling pretty good myself. Let me make sure we good. Go ahead, check the mic.
Mic check.
There we go. We good. We good. We all good. So again, we ain't gonna hop right into it, but just kind of give a brief introduction. I'll give a brief introduction of how we got here. Because like I ran for city council last year, didn't make it, but still been active in the community, engaged in the community. And as I've been having different conversations with different people, different discussions with different people, something that's continuously coming up is a CBA or a community benefit agreement. I've had conversations with different people, and they are saying like, this is an opportunity for you all in the inner city could kind of move the needle, because again, we know money matters. Money moves the needles, and we've been having bag talk all year. You know what I mean? So, and then when I posted a status about it, you were in the comments like, hey, I'm interested in coming on the show to talk about, or I'm interested in talking about it. And pretty much that is how we got to this point here, right? Yeah. So I'm not too educated. I have no problem with saying this. I'm not too educated on CBAs, but I'm always the type of person who's willing to educate themselves and reach out and figure out what I can do to learn. So this pretty much might be, we might just have to zoom in on you and let you get to cooking a little bit. And as we ask questions and we go from there, I'm working in remote, so we might have to zoom in on EJ. And first and foremost, like, explain to us, what is a CBA?
Yeah, so CBA, known as a community benefit agreement. You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. So basically, the way to look at this is it's a binding agreement between a developer, typically a business looking to come into an area, and the community. So that could mean a local government, that could mean a fire department, that could mean a media outlet like yourself. So really it's a tool to use to combat gentrification and ensure that the community is benefiting from a project being built in their area.
Oh, okay. So then, like, if we put it in layman terms, and even just give an example, because what I'll speak to the whole the Market House project that they were talking about, and the votes were all over the place. And I believe that was, and I will explain what my interpretation is, and then hopefully you can clear that up.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is, a CBA is if let's say an entity wants to come into the city of Erie and they want to build a project, or for instance, like the Market House. It's more or less what some people are saying is they need to have contracts to get people from the community to work on those builds or work on those new projects. But then also what I'm learning, or what I've heard, is once these entities come into our city and they build these things, they should be able to offer something for the community that's going to be either benefiting or not bidding from it, so that we can build something in our community as well.
That's about along the lines. What I would say is we already do community benefit agreements.
Okay.
Just not by title. You know them as pilot agreements.
Okay.
You know them as grants. You know them as just sponsorships and donations.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is basically, it's like, hey, you're a major business here in the area. We're a local organization. You make a lot of money off of us. Why don't you give us some money to support our event? That's a community benefit agreement.
Right.
You know what I mean? What the actual documented of community benefit agreement does is it takes it to the next level, where it's a legal binding document. It makes it law, and it gives the power to the people in the community. So, I think there's a misnomer. One of the people commented, is this a private-public partnership? And that's essentially when a corporation agrees to do something for a community, like a government entity, like build a hospital or something.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's not the same as a community benefit agreement. That could be a community benefit agreement, because a community benefit agreement can be whatever the community decides it be. It's not always about money. I think, to bring you to an example of what a community benefit agreement could be, is to use the Scott Enterprise Hotel. I worked for them for a long time. People hate that this dude's building hotels and everything like that. I will say, I didn't make the most money when I worked there. He doesn't really like to pay his workers. So he came in and he got state funds to build his hotel on our waterfront, right?
Right.
So that's our money, our tax dollars.
Right.
What did we get? We got, there's gonna be jobs, and you're gonna have this down here, and you can come and look at it, right? And we all went, oh my God, we need jobs. Please come and do it.
Right.
And so he came because he said, they're desperate. They need money. Let's go back and let's ask for more. And then he came back and we gave him, I think, like another $7 million and subsidized, like, I want to say, like check these numbers, 30%, 33% of his hotel without ever asking for anything in return from our community. Wow. So we gave him all that. We gave him that prime land. We gave him that space, knowing that he's going to be paying us food service worker wages,
right?
$283 an hour.
Right.
I know for a fact that he pays his managers the minimum salary that was allowable by law, because I used to work at one of his restaurants for like 8 years.
Okay.
So, you know, he promised us jobs that we need, but are really slaps in the face that you got to work 2 or 3 of them to actually make a living. What we could have done is said, no, you ain't going to get this LRTA money unless we see X amount of jobs at this wage, unless we see a guaranteed prevailing wage construction workers coming in, union jobs on construction.
Okay.
You're taking up all this acreage right here on the front of our waterfront. Then you need to replace this land over there and give us some green space to make up for what you just took from us.
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's what a community benefit agreement can be. That's what we should have done. And there's a lot more we could have tied to it.
Right.
You know, but the problem is there's a lack of, I think, education by not all of our elected officials, because some of them, you know, my guy Andre been out here saying this for years, and he's actually the one who introduced me to community benefit agreements.
Right.
About 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago, we brought Dr. John Goldstein to Erie, actually, at the Jefferson Center, and we talked about this. And he did a whole thing about community benefit agreements.
Okay, let me slow you down real quick, because you said something that's been a common thing. This is something that has been discussed, which is LRTA. You keep hearing that. I keep hearing that. 10 years, taxes, and all of that. So for the people who do not know what LRTA is or do not understand LRTA, what is LRTA? Yeah, I'm not a tax expert. I'm sure like somebody's going to chime in and say I got something wrong. That's fine.
But essentially, from what I understand, LRTA is a tool that they're using to attract folks to build in the city.
Right.
And essentially, you get to defer your property taxes for X amount of years.
Is it 10 years? I think it's 10.
Yeah, whatever it may be. And that's where I don't know the details. It could be 10 years. It could be 7 years.
And then I also heard people talking about like the CRIZ zone and all of that stuff going on down there too. So
I think CRIZ is a little bit different. It's similar, but it's different. CRIZ is, I think, a little bit more strategic in the way that it's used. Once again, not an expert on that, so probably you don't want me to comment.
Okay.
But I can talk a little bit about LRTA and how I think it's ludicrous that, you know, we're a city that's $12 million in the hole, right? And we're waving a tax rebate in front of your face to get you to come to our city. That's the last thing. Why are we telling you to come to our city and not pay taxes? Hey, come to my city. You don't have to pay any taxes because we don't care. We owe 12. Yeah, we owe 12 million. You might as well just add it to the debt. That's what we're doing essentially. You know.
So I got a question because I want you to go back when you first started. You said gentrification. Mm-hmm. We've had a couple conversations about gentrification, but you just said that there's something that you do to combat gentrification.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear, like, community benefit agreements are not a silver bullet. It's not a one-all be-all. It's one tool that we need to use as a community to ensure that there's responsible development and that the communities where these projects are being built aren't being taken advantage of. And a community benefit agreement can do that. So, for example, you know, and we can talk a little bit more about this, but say I'm a developer and I see there's a bunch of cheap land in Erie. You know, I think all of us know it's probably going to mostly be on the east side, lower, you know, where there's not a lot of investment really or anything going on. So what I want to do, and you see it in the movies all the time, I'm gonna just buy up a bunch of vacant houses and blocks. And I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna build a development for me, and I'm gonna start pushing people out because I have the money and the land is cheap. You know what I mean?
Right.
So slowly but surely, you know, you got to go, I got to go. We can't afford the place anymore. And now it's a whole different crowd, and maybe it fails, maybe it doesn't. But now we got to figure out where all these people went that just were over here. Now they got to go somewhere else, right? So that's a whole new problem we just created. What a community benefit agreement could do in a case like that is ensure that rents stay at a certain amount. Okay. It can ensure that tax dollars are being paid. So maybe it's a nonprofit who's moved in, say Gannon or Hammond, and they don't pay no taxes. Maybe a group of people could get together every single day and rally and be like, yo, until you people start paying some money in the form of a pilot or community benefit agreement, we're gonna be out here every day making your life miserable. You're gonna hate the fact that you decided to build your place here in this neighborhood. You know what I mean? But
so you can force a community benefit agreement even after the project is complete?
No, you have to have leverage.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, Could you? I mean, do what I just described.
That's exactly when you said it. That's what I'm saying, because
Theoretically,
it wouldn't be difficult to rally some people, especially when you're talking about getting some assets on the east side or getting some opportunities and stuff like that. Like, I'm pretty sure we can get some people to be like, hey, man, this is what we want in our community, and we're going to stand out here every day until we get it.
And, you know, I think that's how most of the stuff that we have seen get done here and here. You know, one of the things that I'm really proud of is the community college. That's how we got that built. Yeah. They tried to take that from us, and we rallied a bunch of people in front of the courthouse the day that they tried to vote no, and like 100 people showed up, and they tabled the vote that day.
Okay.
And they went back. You know, there's a long record of this, but the community literally fought to get us a community college. You know, we're seeing the dividends of that, and it's unfortunate that it takes, you know, $3.5 million from Erie Insurance to fund an operation like Empower Erie to go out and get things like that done. And that we don't, you know, naturally have organizations out here that have the resources to do that on their own, that we have to lean on the Erie Insurances of the world, and things like that. But I mean, what are we doing? Like, if we don't work with these groups, we're really tying one hand behind our back.
How much do they pour back into our community economy? Like,
what would that be?
Like a Hammond, a St. Vincent's, these big corporations.
I mean, they're the top employers here in our town, so they're huge. You know, they are very important. So, like, I think anyone who's like, oh, we don't need Erie Insurance, we don't need Hammond, it's like, what, you don't want good paying jobs? Like, you know what I mean? It shouldn't be we don't want you. It should be, let's adjust this so that we're making sure this is beneficial for everyone, not just you. And that's a long time. We've just been happy to have things. We haven't demanded what we deserve.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we've been so desperate to get something, we're willing to take anything.
Okay. So let me ask you this, just for, you know, for the viewers, for the people who are tuning in, you know, they might feel like, or who is this guy running his mouth? Kind of like, give us a rundown of who you are, for whatever you can expose or let us know, and why you know this information. How do you know all of these things?
Yeah. I'm just a regular person in Erie, just a regular guy. I'm from Erie. You know, I'm from the city. I went to Glenwood, Roosevelt, Central, Edinburgh. Those are my schools. I grew up and still live in the city.
Okay.
I was lucky enough, you know, I used to be a dude on Facebook that was just running his mouth, talking shit all the time. Always in the comments. You probably, if you're friends with me, you see me do it every now and then. And I got to the point where I was like, damn, I gotta stop talking shit and like actually get out here and do something. Right. So around like 2014, I went out, started going to public, like you, started showing up at city council meetings, county meetings. How am I gonna talk this shit if I don't really know what I'm talking about? I started educating myself. The one thing I saw was, damn, these people are not who I thought they were. You know, I was really enamored when I first started to meet. Oh, that's the mayor. Yeah. That's the county executive. Oh, that's the county council, so and so. And I started talking to these folks, and I was like, damn, man, like, you know, maybe I could do this. You know, maybe I, you know, they gave me, talking to them gave me the confidence that I could do what they're doing. We'll just put it that way. This is a nice way of saying it. But through that, you know, I was able to meet. You know, I got a great mentor. You know, shout out to Andre Horton. I promise you I would not be sitting here right now if it wasn't for him.
Shout out to Drake.
You know, I was his intern, and I was lucky enough to run with him and Ron DiNicola for about 2 years, a year, doing the community college stuff. And I swear to God, every meeting we ever went to, it was just like this, the three of us facing. I wasn't in the back, in the corner. I wasn't the intern. They put me at the table. They treated me as an equal. They gave me that respect. And I was able to sit in rooms at the state level and local level that probably most of us don't have access to, and meet these folks and see the mechanisms behind what it takes to get legislation changed. Through that, you know, I was able to parlay that into a congressional manager campaign job, and then into another one, and then into another one after that. I served a little bit of time as the executive director of the party. I worked on President Biden's campaign in 2020. And now for the last 4 years, I've been leading community affairs for a utility scale solar and energy company, Vesper Energy, out of Dallas, Texas. We build huge, like, I don't know, $500,000 development projects.
So curiosity. Yeah. Curiosity and want to understand kind of got you where you were. Yeah. Where you wanted to be. And I'm glad that you said that, because, like, I talk every single day about the importance of relationships and the importance of social equity. So I'm glad that you were able to share that, like, your curiosity, going to those city council meetings, going to those county council meetings. And I'm assuming that you were asking questions to people after the meetings. Yep. You know what I mean? Trying to connect with different people helped you get to the point to where now you have a better understanding of local government, of civics and things like that. So then I guess it's like, why does it seem like CBAs are foreign to the previous, I'm not going to say the new one because Andre was on county council.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when I'm learning from city council and when I'm learning from Andre being there, a lot of the city council people are learning from him and taking information from him. And then also, I think that this is something, and I'm going to say, I want this to be my words and not anybody else's. I think that we forget when we talk about this deficit, we just put it on the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't consider the fact that there are people who are in city council right now who have been there a lot of the time with Joe Schimber, who voted on some things and made some decisions to where they also play a role in us being in a deficit. And we're not acknowledging that because we just look at Joe Schimber and now we're looking at Daria to just do all of the work. But if you think about it, from what you're saying from CBAs and from some of the things Andre have been saying, had our council people been a little bit more educated or working a little bit harder, we may not be in this hole. So I wanted to say that is just my opinion from the research that I've gathered and I've collected. This is not the words of either one of them, but we can't just put it on the mayor because the city council makes decisions and they have to vote, and the city council ultimately makes the vote. So technically, our city council people been sitting in those positions, serving those seats, play a major role in the deficit as well, and we're putting it all on the mayor.
But they put that on Daria.
But they'll put it on Schimber because Schimber's going right. But if you think about the council people who were there with Schimber, Mo Troop was there, okay. Jasmine Flores was there, Ed Brzezinski was there, and Kathy Schaaf was there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So those 4 people have been serving for at least 4 years. Okay. Schimber just left. So when he was putting stuff up or when they were putting stuff or when people were presenting things, they had to vote on those things. And I think because what EJ said when we first got started, because we lack education, and I'll say this again, these are my words, I think that it's a popularity contest sometimes, and we just run to get these seats for the perks of it and not actually understand city council controls the infrastructure, the mayor controls the people. Right. But they work collectively to make decisions. So when decisions are being made and the mayor says, I want to do this, and they vote on it, city council put us in a hole just like the mayor put us in a hole. So when we think about that and we think about these CBAs and them, if they had been a little bit more educated or if they had been taking advantage of this, like, I lost my question, but what role that's what the question was. Why do you think that it seems to be new to everybody when Andre been talking about this for the last 10 years?
Well, I mean, I think it just goes to show you was, some people just don't listen to others. I mean, I know for a fact Andre has been screaming at the rooftops about CBAs and everything, and not just to county council, but to city council. And a lot of these folks have been in office, and I don't want to, man.
It's no shots.
I ain't trying to be a hater or anything.
It's not.
Like
it's we being real.
We have
bro.
a lot of folks just talking who are, we just got a lot of the same people doing the same shit for a long time. And it's like, at what point do we just stop saying this is not working? Right. And this isn't a Republican or Democrat thing. This is just like, if you had this office and that office, and you sat in this office, and then you left this office to go to that office, I don't know.
How do they get out of the hole? Because that's all going to be us.
Yeah.
Paying this money.
Good luck
to get that.
Good luck.
For a city the size of Erie, $12 million is a lot of money.
Yeah. I call up Zoe Mondani from New York and see what he did to balance New York's budget.
Listen.
There's got to be something at the federal and state level. And I'm sure Daria is smart. I don't really know her that much. I've only had a handful of interactions with her. But, man, I feel really confident about her and Christina Vogel. I think they're both dynamic.
Right.
I feel good about the future of us. But that doesn't mean they don't need help and suggestions and everything like that. So I don't know.
It doesn't make sense because, like you said, if they're giving Nick Scott all this money, like
the idea,
because I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm listening to what Deontay said, and if they're giving that man and his companies all that money to build down there, and we are in a $12 million deficit, something don't smell right.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's just the way we do business here. It's the one thing about Erie, I feel like we always talk about, like, so we're late on everything. The music hits late, clothing hits late, fashion, everything hits late. Ideas hit late too. And unfortunately, they come it takes a lot longer for them to get here than other places. I said this before, if you look at America, I can't think of another city on a major waterfront like we are that at the level and size we are. It's pathetic.
Don't take advantage of it.
Don't take advantage of it.
Fifth largest city in the fifth largest state.
It's wild. Cleveland, Buffalo, both on the same lake as us. Right. Utilizing that thing. You know what I mean? Chicago.
So how do you feel? Because
we got the intersection of I-90 and I-79,
Right.
two major highways on the border of Canada, at the port of Canada.
Right.
They're building they're fixing the bayfront down there.
Yeah, they're using some prime real estate.
Yeah.
Our local government
Yeah.
decided to
I
go
want you-
ahead and use some
I want you to
prime
break
real
this
estate
down.
instead of going out and selling that land and having it developed to a firm that will actually pay taxes.
Right.
We will provide it. Want this to be great. You can come down here with your family,
Roundabout.
and you can set up a booth on Saturday,
Right.
and there'll be nice windows, and it'll be great, everybody, and this will be nice. We'll have things to do. But ain't nobody paying tax. Like, just this shit is
Right.
crazy to me. Like,
Right. Right.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Listen, and that's why we go live, bro, because on the radio we can't talk like this.
Yeah.
So the radio is 30-minute segments, and we gotta watch what we say. But when we on live, man, you can let them fly just as long as you're willing to deal with whatever consequences come your way from wherever you gotta go when you leave here.
Look, because that's a nice piece of change that they put into that pavement down there. And when I'm at work, I go to Hamlet so I get to see some of the
Yeah.
stuff that they're doing. They got an overpass, an underpass.
Now that roundabout, I think that's different, and I feel like this is also something that we need to work on here in Erie is education a little bit. Like those funds are different than a lot of the funds. Those aren't Erie funds. We could have never took that roundabout money and applied it to like fix potholes in Erie.
Okay.
That money was for that project.
It's PennDOT money, right?
Yeah. That
Right,
money,
right.
if we didn't use that money goes away. All
Right.
And you look at Seattle, what they did with their waterfront. They used to be a highway. Now it's like a major walkway. You're like, am I saying the project that they did is perfect? Did we need public pedestrian traffic down there? Absolutely. You know what I mean? Who's trying to run across 4 lanes with their kids? Not me.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? But that money is different.
So do you think, what was the mayor name before Schindler?
Senate.
Oh,
Senate.
yeah.
Senate. Joe Senate was the mayor before
And who was before?
Philippi.
Philippi. What he did. Do you think he's the reason that Bayfront development is the way it is because he tried to slide in first and he kind of messed up people building down there?
I don't know anything about that. So
Yeah, we're a little younger than you, bro. You got to think. When we go back that far, you go to Philippi, we still in high
We were
school.
in high school, yeah.
Because Philippi tried to.
I don't know. Whatever you go ahead. What you got? What you got?
The casino.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Absolutely. We fumbled that shit.
Okay.
Trying to leverage the bayfront. We could have built the casino down on the bayfront.
Right.
And then I think, and see, this is where people argue about CBAs is overplaying your hand. There are times you can ask for too much. You got to be strategic with this shit. It ain't just as simple as like, we want money. You know what I mean? You got to be thoughtful. If I'm asking for $10 million, but your business only produces $12 million, that's it's not happening.
Okay.
But no, from what you're saying,
remember why?
yeah,
Because he
there was
tried to-
opportunity to get it down there.
Right.
Yeah.
And he tried to buy land as he was bargaining to get the casino.
Okay. So, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
get what
So
you're saying.
I'm just trying to figure out did by him doing that, did that blow some money? Because people was hesitant, like that's corruption.
Yeah. And I think that's that some of that kind of got him out of there. You know what I mean? But then you think like again, moving forward, just to stay current to it, when you think about CBAs and you think about Erie, based on what you know, what can we be doing now to benefit off of things that you might see coming down the pipeline or potentially, or what can we propose and how it can benefit us?
Yeah, no, I think like this Navy shipyard that's about to come in, right? So that's the next big project. Everyone's getting all geeked up and hyped up about that.
Is that about an old Erie coke plant?
Yeah,
Okay,
right. Everyone's
okay.
fired up. Oh yeah, we're
Navy
finally
shipyard.
developing it, right? Yeah, there's a proposal right now to have the Navy to build a shipyard there, to set that land up for a shipyard with the hopes that the Navy will contract to build ships there. It's being proposed. Actually, reached out to the dude. He's just like some young sailor actually in the Navy. I think he's still active duty on LinkedIn, and I was just like, "Oh, I'd love to learn more about this." And he told me a little bit about it and everything. But this is a perfect example. Is like the community groups, Erie County United, and all the other groups need to get together now,
Right.
and start putting together a plan for these developments. But as soon as they hear that there's potentially something coming in, you heard about a development that may potentially be coming in earlier. I just told you about and everything like that. As soon as someone were to hear about something like that, they should start organizing. All right, what we got to do to make sure, one, that they're coming in, they're being responsible,
Right.
but two, that all the benefits are not just going to them, that we get to share in the benefits.
So I'm glad that you said that when you said start preparing themselves, because like prior to having this conversation and prior to even knowing anything about a CBA, what I was always saying was we as people need to be building our own infrastructure so we can start getting government contracts. For instance, if I got a cleaning company and let's say the government says, hey, we need this clean, like I should be able to have all of my ducks in a row, my documents, my paperwork to where I can apply for, hey, I want to be the person that's cleaning the courthouse, or hey, I want to be the person that's planting the trees. Because I think that there are a lot of different opportunities when it comes to government contracts, but when you see some of those payouts in the county and city council meetings, it's always going to the same company or the same organization. It's like, yo, imagine if my landscaping company would have been able to plant the trees on State Street. So when you talk about the community getting themselves prepared for opportunities in the future, like, what do you think some things that what are some things that you think people who have aspirations to be business owners who could potentially get some government contracts, how can they be preparing? How can they be preparing themselves now for the future?
Yeah, I mean that's a huge question. I think number one is education. We live in an age where everything is available to you. You know, obviously not all information is, true. You got to vet your information.
Right.
But if you have aspirations and you got a barbershop and your goal right now, your barbershop's been working for a couple of years, and your next step is I want to expand. I think I could build on a second location over there. You need to start figuring out what is it I got to do other than just get money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think we have such a simplistic understanding of business and what to do. But I would just suggest to a lot of people, I see people selling plates on my Facebook all the time.
Right. That's what I'm talking. People like that,
mean?
because I know people have aspirations and they're doing the best way that they can. Like,
yeah, it's tough because there are resources like the Small Business Association that exists. There's resources like there's a lot of incubators. Black Wall Street's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would shout out Diverse Erie, a board that I'm on.
Absolutely, shout out Diverse Erie.
That's our main focus is right now is funding, but my goal is to be able to do things like education. And I'm really glad you brought that up because this is something I really wanted to talk about a little bit. Is there's this disconnect that all we need is money.
Right.
If you just give me enough money, I'll be good. Give me $1 million, I'll be set. I'll flip that $1 million, in a year, we'd be good.
Right.
But that's because we never had $1 million.
Thank you. That's what I've been telling you. You don't even know what $1 million problem looks like.
Yeah, and the problems that come, and I've been blessed enough to learn. I used to think I got to a certain level in my life, and I'm set.
Right.
And then I just realized, damn, I'm just spending more money. Like, you know what I mean? I'm doing more. I'm buying nicer things. My standards went up. So I think we forget that a lot of the time. So education is number one. There's a huge disconnect here in Erie. We have a lot of groups that are focused on doing this kind of work. I just mentioned a couple of them, and they're doing great jobs. But why do we need 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 groups focused on financial literacy,
right,
homelessness, entrepreneurship? Why do we not just have 2 or 3 that are crushing it, focusing on those things?
Right.
And I want to point to Detroit in their renaissance. I don't know how familiar you are with Detroit and what they've kind of come back in the last 15, 20 years. But, everyone kind of remembers Detroit in the 90s and 2000s.
Right.
It was a joke of the nation, burnt down buildings and everything. Well, Dan Gilbert and others, Dan Gilbert's owner of the Cavs, Field Mortgage, Blackstone, and he saw opportunity, the GM. So what they did is they went out there and they got their heads together. But instead of just being like, hey, I got $100 million, let's go buy this, they hit up, hey, Deontay, all right, I got a plan. All right, I got the money. Right. You got connections. What do we need to do? What's actually something that's value? And they started looking at what's going to trigger the next project.
Right.
Not what do we need right now? What Band-Aid can we do to fix this glaring problem in America that we have right now? Like right now, I think, we all know right in our face, we got a police brutality issue going on right now, right? So a lot of us are going to put our energy, rightfully so, into doing that and everything. And we're going to get something out of this. Maybe a resolution, a sorry, a suspension,
but what's the next
something.
play?
But then what's the next play?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And that always, that I think I loved how for when you would go with cello, even when they would give an inch, an inch isn't good enough, man.
Right.
And it just always comes back to quote Malcolm X. You stab me in the back 7 inches and pull it out 5. That's not progress.
Right.
It's pulling it all the way out and healing the wounds and making sure you never stab me again.
Listen.
You know what I mean? And so that's the mentality we need to get to in Erie, and that's the mentality we lack. Because think about the people, man, I'm being a hater right now. Think about the people that we got in office and what they fight for and what they care about. It is not the same shit that we live and go through here.
Right. And then it's just when you said something, because you was like, it's so many different organizations doing the same thing, right? And that is an issue that I have. But like you said, I'm being a hater. When I say that, it always seems as though I'm hating. And then what's crazy is about all of these different organizations, they all go after the same buckets of money.
And then they compete.
Exactly.
And I don't want you to succeed because if you succeed, I can't succeed.
Right, because
and
I want to
serve. What kind of winning
people.
mentality is that? Like that, we do not operate as a team in the city. We do not operate as one functioning. You know, this.
Definitely see that.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, my question is, for everything that those groups do, and they give money into other people, what happens when that business that they're giving it to doesn't succeed? And for example, the one restaurant that's a couple blocks away,
The Taste of Love.
Yeah, they got funded.
Yeah, Taste of Love. Yeah, so Taste of Love got some funded. Yep.
They didn't stand for, I don't think 6 months. I don't think they made it 6 months. And money was poured in to be successful.
Yeah.
How do we, because you're talking about education, so somebody has to be educated a little bit better for a business to kind of withstand that type of situation of getting funded and then not being able to sustain the funding.
Right.
Yeah, you know, restaurant business is tough.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can't hate on anybody for that, but I would say any other business, you know, if you get funded and you get some sort of grant money and you're not successful, you know, if somebody gives you some more money, you know, you probably need to question the governance of who's giving out that money.
Right.
You're not really being responsible with those funds. I will say I am proud that, you know, I'm part of the grants review committee for diverse areas, so I get to look at all the applications and see, you know, to make sure that everybody's with standard. And there's times when there's people that I've known and that the businesses are doing good, but they are not up to the standard that
How is
people
that?
feel comfortable. I can't stand on this in front of a camera and say this, but I know so and so. Like that's not good enough for the community.
Right.
I gotta respect that money more, and I gotta respect my position more to ensure that I'm making sure that money is being the most effective as possible. And I don't think that everybody takes that role as serious as some of us do.
So as the grantee, you take the loss.
Yeah, I mean, we're taking the loss as a grantee anyway, because if you're a nonprofit organization, your goal and your mission, like for Diverse Area, our goal is not to make money for Diverse Area.
Right.
Our goal is I want to work Diverse Area out of a job.
Right.
I don't want Diverse Area to have to exist.
Right.
It's embarrassing.
Build the community up.
I got the only DEI government commission in America.
Mm-hmm.
How sad is our community that that's what we have to have? You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this about when it comes to Diverse Erie, right? Because Diverse Erie, they supported the town hall meeting, they donated some money, and then I seen they just had a round of grants that they gave out. I think it was like $312,000. You would know better than me, but the number was up there pretty high, right?
Over 500.
Excuse me, look at that. I'm $200,000 short, so over $500,000. You know, shout out to Gary Lee and the Diverse Erie team and everybody on the board doing the great things. But I think that there are a lot of either misconceptions, and what I will say myself, up until this year, in the past, I've been intimidated to fill out the application for the grant, and I think it's a cultural thing because we don't want people in our business and our finances and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So kind of like break down to anybody that's watching, anybody that's paying attention, why they should be applying for those grants and some of the things or some of the ways that they've helped people.
Yeah, I mean,
because I mean, when I first started, I'm not telling them how much money, because it was like, I'm ashamed. How am I asking for a grant and I didn't make any money this year?
Well, I think, you know, don't be ashamed because that's your money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, this is your money. That's what this money is here for. This is taxpayer funds. You know what I mean? Like, so essentially, the role of a government, a lot of people say, you know, a government should operate like a business. No, they should not. Because a business's job and goal is to make money. That's the number one thing. A government's role is to provide, you know, a standard quality of life for their people. So, you know, this is your money and it's available. And the people who aren't embarrassed are living the dreams that you wish you were. All the people are, you know, so all the doers are out there actually getting this money instead of just being like, you know, I want to do it.
Right.
You know, so I would just say that you look at history, and I'll use our president of the United States right now, Donald Trump. And he, you know, everybody always pats that dude on the back because he works the system, and he says, you know, I'm not cheating the system.
Right.
Like, these are the laws and I agree with him. Like, it's not like, if that's what the law says, then that's what you do until somebody changes it and makes it right. Like, that's the law that we're operating in. So if this is the rules of the game, you can't be mad and upset. Like, you need to play by the rules of the game until you can come in and impact and change the rules of the game.
Listen,
and you'll never do it by not being willing to participate.
Thank you.
You
Thank you for that.
Right now.
No, for real, because it's a lot of people who are complaining about the rules instead of understanding the rules and ways to work around it. So, like, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, listen to Rich Dad Poor Dad, played the game, read the Wealth Choice, and it's like legitimately, once we understand the rules and we learn the rules and we play by them, then we can start building up our finances to where now we have people in positions and people who have actual finances. Because what I will say is in the underprivileged communities or the poorer communities, we don't really put too much emphasis on finances.
Nope.
It's more love, it's more God, and it's more community as opposed to money. Why do you think that is? And what do you think that we need to do to kind of like pivot our mindset to understand how important finances are?
I mean, it's hard when you're just, I try to explain this, man, when I used to manage candidates, because a lot of them were out of touch. Like, not out of touch, but like some of them just had money, or they just grew up in different situations. Like, I'm from the city. I'm not going to sit here and say that I was poor by any means, but like, I'm just a regular dude from the city.
Right.
And what I found is like every day people are just trying to get by.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's me.
And like me and you were just talking about this, how you just recently started really to kind of become enlightened because you started getting involved and educating yourself. Because before you were just trying to get by every day. You know what I mean? So it's hard to be like, damn, I should learn about credit.
Right.
When my stomach hurts and I'm hungry,
right.
I'm trying to figure out who's going to watch my kids so I can go to this extra shift. You know what I mean? Or damn, where do I get the deposit for the daycare so that I can get my kid into the next daycare? So like, I think there's a lot of people like folks that are in less resource communities.
Mm-hmm.
They get like, oh, you just got to work harder. And it's like, yo, they are working harder than all of you. Like, do you not understand how hard it is to struggle and be poor?
MacGyver, bro. The hood is full of MacGyvers.
It's insane. Yo, go to prison. Look at these dudes making Wi-Fi boxes. You know what I mean? Like gourmet meals. It's just insane. Like, that's a whole other thing that we can go down and shit like that. But like, that's the one thing that I love is there's an entrepreneur spirit that automatically is, I think, ingrained in someone that has to struggle and has to figure out how to make it through their own community. I mean, I look at my son, sometimes he's 9 years old. He's soft as shit, man. And I love him so much. But like, sometimes I'm like, damn, when I was your age, I was like this.
Right.
But then I'm thinking back, it's like, it's because I had to be
like
that.
Selling baseball cards and penny candy, whatever I got to do.
That's one thing that people don't understand, the difference of growing up. It's tough because we always talk about we didn't have anything, especially the way I grew up. I told D, we used to open cans of corn and try to bust it with a butter knife. You know how hard it is to pop that joint with a butter knife? But that's how we was, I didn't have a chance to get financial literacy.
Right.
Like, we was talking about a credit card, and I was like, I would get the credit card, and I'm going to spend the whole $300-400 the same day I get that card.
That's why I had my 18th birthday.
Right. You spend it all and never look back.
I was like 33 before I got my credit. Like, repaired my credit from the damage I did from 18 to 20. You know what I mean? Literally, my 18th birthday, I got a credit card. I remember I was like, oh, got it, $300 credit limit, just like you said. Me and the boys, we went camping. I spent the whole $300. I remember that night, and I was just like, I ain't gonna pay that shit.
Right. What
are you gonna do? Come arrest me?
Exactly. Thank you.
Knowing it's like, oh, there's some things worse than jail, and that's called, you could be poor, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's I think that's the big thing is, and then it's also we need to elect better leaders, people that recognize this, that see this gap, that have experienced this gap and are willing to do what it takes to fill that gap.
Right.
And we can't always lean on our elected officials. There is individual responsibility. You got to be a grown up at some point. If the shit ain't been working for a while, maybe you need to switch it up.
Right.
If the person you're with sucks, maybe you need to get with a different one. There's different things that we can always do to better our situation. But I think number one is like, even back in the day, if you wanted to learn about financial literacy at 14, who were you going to ask?
Yeah, I couldn't ask my mom or my dad. They weren't.
So when you say that, I'm glad that you said that because you mentioned Mayor with Zohan Mondomny, right?
Yeah.
So even when you say that, right, and you say not being able to or don't always trust the elected officials, when we talk about our elected officials and with them using their power of their positions and stuff like that, is it possible for them to just like, let's just say, for instance, Daria is like, hey, you know what? I want to talk to the mayor. I want to talk. Can I call him? Is it possible? Or is it like, well, you're all the way in Pennsylvania? No, I'm not.
So listen, my job, what I do is I have to go and prep projects for development. So I go and I'll call up the city of Detroit and be like, I'm going to come and build a $500 million energy infrastructure project in this area. I want to talk to you about the economic benefits.
Right.
Okay.
So our elected officials can just be like, we're going to Detroit this weekend.
Yes.
We're going to California.
Yes.
So Jasmine Flores can be like, hey, I'm going to New York and I want to see what they're doing up there.
She's got Facebook. She's got Instagram. She's got LinkedIn.
Right.
She's got an email page. There's nothing stopping any of these folks from educating. I know like Andre, like he meets up with like Jordan Harris and other people down in, the other Black elected officials in the legislature.
Yeah, but
I know Tyler does that as well, works with some other electeds and stuff like that. So I think that that's happening to a degree, but I think, and once again, it's, these folks, everybody is working and focused on what they want to do when they're office. Like,
this is crazy because I'm trying to figure out why is Erie so far behind from, like, we talking about infrastructure, but when you go to other cities, like you said, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland, everything just looks more city-ish than. I
honestly think when you think about that, I think it's more or less like, again, when we talk about people getting elected in Erie, it's like we want to do it our way. I think people feel like we're so unique that they won't say, hey, let's go to Detroit and let's, like, anybody who has water, like we down here arguing about if they should put a marketplace down here and there's water everywhere.
Right.
Like, let's go to Detroit and say, hey, what works there? Let's go to Myrtle Beach for that matter.
Well, you know what the problem is you run into things like, well, it's not zoned for that. Change the zoning.
Change the zoning.
Change the zoning.
Because you got the votes.
You can change the zoning. Like, if it's going to benefit the project in the area and the neighbor, change the zoning. You know what I mean? If you need more houses in the area, but the only problem is the zoning doesn't allow it, guess what? You're the one that creates the zoning.
Exactly. So then let me ask you this too, because this is something that always comes up when we say stuff or we complain or we talk mess. People will be like, well, Erie's been running under Democrats for the last 50 years. We need to switch it to Republicans. Like,
tell me a city that hasn't.
Right.
Can you name one? Can anybody? Drop in the chat if you can name a city designated technically that's not run by Democrats. I'll wait.
Especially these northern.
Yeah, because
it's because, and I'm not trying to get political. It is whatever.
Right. No, the reason why I said that is because, and it's not to be political, because I've told people, like, when people say that, I'm 40 years old, right? Yeah. So even when people are like, oh, well, for the last 40 years, X, Y, and Z has happened and you guys need to switch it up. It's like, me as a registered Democrat, I understand that. And now I feel like I'm ready to step in the role and not follow those same ways of living or the same ways of ruling, to where it's just like, now we as the younger generation don't even get the opportunity because people feel like everybody before us messed it up, to where they just like, we need either people from out of town or we need Republicans to come in here and just change everything that's been done. And I totally disagree with that, but I believe that you're more educated on stuff like that. So I'm asking your opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the thinking, you know what I mean? And I would just say, the reason why cities are run by Democrats is because cities are more diverse. You know what I mean? Cities are going to have different views, and typically your experiences shape your belief. Typically your experiences shape your beliefs and your cultures. And if you grew up in a city, you're more likely to agree with the guy who's talking about all the stuff you experienced growing up.
Right.
So you're going to vote for that. And Republicans, they talk about business and everything, but it's usually business for thee and not business for me. Now I'm hating on Republicans.
No. That's the thing, and we can get off of that subject because we don't want to go too
got your business
political
right now.
Yeah,
what do you envision for you?
Oh,
so there we go. Good question.
I'm glad you brought
Good
that
question.
up.
There we go.
So, one of my personal goals.
And you've been here. You've
been here
from
my whole
Erie.
life. I moved away for a little bit. Like I was in the Navy. I came back.
Thank you for your service.
And then but the last 4 years I've really traveled around the country, and I've just been working with economic development professionals, both at the federal level in DC, but also at state levels in various economic monster machines. And I have a lot that I've been picking their brains for. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I'm at a point where I have relationships where I can text the mayor of Detroit and be like, yo, what's going on? Like, for real, like, hey, I want this idea by you. Next time in town, you want to grab lunch. You know what I mean? So my vision is to take a lot of what has already worked, because we don't need to recreate the wheel. The wheel works.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? What we need to do is go get, the wheel that other cities are working, because it's working way better than ours.
Right.
So, one of those things, I'm actually right now proposing a project that would utilize different funding mechanisms than Erie traditionally uses.
Okay.
And the reason why I can say that with confidence is because I was told directly by someone else who tried to build a project in a similar fashion. And they said, I brought it to this individual who's in charge of economic development, I'm leaving all names out, but you people can go Google shit.
We know. Trust me, I know.
Yeah. So this person that's in charge of economic development and is a genius economic development. All these people that are genius economic developments leaders here in our community have been leading our community for the last 20, 30 years. Keep that in mind. And what's the biggest problem with Erie? Economic development.
Economic development.
But anyway, she told me, you'll never be able to get that project done. He told me, oh, you won't be able to. We don't do things like that here in Erie. People are going to tell you that. This individual told me, you're going to keep running into that. Since I've been trying to shop around the project that I'm working on, that's all. I'm not familiar with this. What's a new market tax credit? What do you explain the opportunity zones for me? How is that going to work? What's a capital stack?
Same old.
Oh, well, just go to Erie Bank and get a loan. Did you talk to Chris Groner down in economic development?
Same old.
Maybe you can get a grant from. It's just the same old shit, the same old little small pot of money that we should all be happy. Hey, minority community, you got $500,000 last year. You should be happy.
You should be happy, right?
You should be happy.
It's a bunch of us.
Yeah, you should be happy. You know what I mean?
I ain't got nothing.
Exactly. You can get none, right?
Nothing.
So, but that's the mentality we have here.
Right.
So, for me, my goal is, I used to want to be in office. I used to want to be like a city council, mayor,
Me too.
Congress, president. But then I got to see behind the curtain.
Bag talk.
And, everybody has someone in their ear. And that somebody is a guy like me telling them what to say and what to do. Well, this is how you should feel about that policy. Actually, this is what you should say when they ask you this question. So I'm going to be that guy. But I'm going to start doing it for the city of Erie and not for an individual. And I'm going to start advocating for the city of Erie. And I'm going to do that through economic development.
Right.
So that's, what I plan on doing is trying to build some projects that will, I want to make money. Let's just keep it real.
Let's always make sure we say that.
Because, maybe we'll see. Hopefully.
But let me ask you this though, right? Even when you talk about that, and I'm glad that you mentioned some of those points because it does seem as though everybody goes to the same pool of money, and we don't even think to consider different pools of money or different investors or different streams of revenue and income. So it's just like and this is my bro. Like I love Drew to death. We all waiting for Drew to save us.
Yeah.
Or we're waiting for Kim Clear.
He got the money. We got to wait to see.
Or not Kim Clear, excuse me. Waiting for Kim Thomas to save us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're waiting for Drew Whiten to save us. And like, again, Drew, that's my bro. I love him. We bust it up all the time, but it's like, we can't leave it all up to him.
They're not Superman and they're not supposed to be. You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem is we look at a lot of these economic development groups as like the fix all, the cure alls, but the reality is, man, once again, not trying to shit on anybody. Look at some of their plans. Do they include you? Do they include your neighborhood?
Right.
Parade Street's great. How many people live down here though?
Listen,
you ain't doing nothing past Buffalo Road.
Listen, don't get me. You're gonna turn the show into something completely different when you start saying that.
But look, for a person like me who don't know about grants,
okay,
wouldn't even know where to go.
So this is what I suggest to you.
There we go. Go ahead.
Here's the number one suggestion: get on Ryan Bizzaro and Bob Mursky's grant email list. You can send an email to their office or send a phone call and say, hey, I'd love for you to update me and let me know what grants are available in our area.
Right.
And what they'll do, because they're awesome. Shout out to Ryan Bizzaro's staff.
Ryan Bizzaro be all over the place. Bro. Ryan Bizzaro gets busy. Yeah. Some people like him, some people don't like him, but I will say this, and this is just my own personal opinion. Ryan Bizzaro is the most active state representative in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Facts. Yeah, and that's not knocking nobody else, and that's not saying nobody else is good.
Right.
What that's saying is Ryan's not my state rep, and I call his office to get shit done when I need stuff done for me as a citizen.
Right.
And they get it done for me.
Right. But go back to that. I just wanted to make sure we shout out Ryan Bizzaro.
Yeah, no. So you ask his team to put you on the grants, and what they'll do, they just send it out like 2 days ago. The first of the month, they're going to send you a list of available grants.
Right.
So a grant that I would suggest everybody look at, PA Sites grant.
PA Sites grant.
Right. So that grant is an economic grant that is available to nonprofits, municipalities, schools, for-profit organizations. And the goal of that is to create economic development projects, to fund projects. So a lot of people, and this is what I want to get into, this is what I'm excited to get into. My goal is to build a skyscraper.
In Erie?
In general.
Okay.
I don't think Erie could support that.
Okay.
We can talk about that too. And we can talk about why big projects like that don't get built to Erie. I think there's a misnomer of why stuff like that doesn't come to Erie.
I want to hear that one because I always wonder why we ain't got no big buildings here.
Yeah. So my goal is, now we'll have to come back to that. I just messed up. Let's go back to what you were just saying though about why
we don't have skyscrapers.
Yeah, why we don't have skyscrapers. So I don't necessarily think that it's why don't we have tall buildings? It's national construction costs are so high that the Erie market cannot support a justification to build a project.
Got you. That makes sense right there.
See what I'm saying? So it costs way more. Why would I spend $20 million in Erie to maybe make $1 million when I could spend $20 million in Texas to make $20 million?
Right.
So that's why you see that though is the excuse that a lot of folks have been using, and the lack of education knowing about low income housing tax credits, which are specifically designed to spur affordable housing development to get folks over that hurdle. So let me just break this down to a little bit. If you want to build a project, right? This is where I was going with my skyscraper thing.
There we go. Let's go get it back there.
Let's get back to that, right?
Because I got something for you too with that.
Hold on, keep them on the skyscraper. Go ahead.
So, to build a $2 million project and a $20 million project, it's the same exact work. I met with a Miami developer. He came and he talked to me. He's done billions of dollars in development in Miami, like Dubai, like huge. This dude came in, he spoke in a class that I was in, and that was his work. $2 million is the same work as a $20 million deal. In Erie, we do not understand how to finance and underwrite a deal to get over the hurdle of DSR, which is like, I can't think of the acronym right now, but basically like it's your debt service credit rating. It's a ratio. It's how much debt you have versus
how much equity you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, a lot of times people they run the numbers and it's like, damn, man, how do I make that $8 million gap?
Right.
Okay, where do I get $8 million from? I want to build a $100 million project. Where do I get the $8 million gap that I need? A lot of people just say, all right, well, I'm gonna hit up Perry and I'm gonna try to get a grant through that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna hit up Diverse Erie. I'm gonna see if they can get some money. Maybe the county will give me money. All right. And what they're not doing is they're not going out to these programs that already exist. New market tax credits, the low income housing tax credits, opportunity zone funds, historical renovation tax credits.
Now, is this for developers or is this for common folks? Okay, for developers.
This is for anybody.
Developers, common folks.
The only difference between a developer and you is you call yourself I call myself a developer and you don't. There's literally no difference.
Okay.
Because you can do everything they do. And that's what I'm trying to get. I'm doing a terrible job doing it right now because I'm all over the place. Too much caffeine, but I'm doing a terrible job. That's what I'm trying to get is this shit is not hard.
Right.
There's a lot of low-hanging fruit here in Erie that if we can just get someone focused on bringing in the resources and tools and getting creative and not getting caught, it's going to be hard.
Right.
This shit's going to be hard. If it was easy, it would have been done already.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard. So you acknowledge it's hard. We address the concerns and we just move through them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so as soon as we get leadership that can understand that and that's willing to go out and put in a little extra work, and look, shout out to council, but they make like 6 G's a year.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about.
6,000
ain't enough to be doing this stuff.
And then they got to sit there for 4 hours and get yelled at by people every Wednesday. And shit, you know what I mean? Like, none of them want to do that. So the last thing I'm going to do is after you just yelled at me for 4 hours, help you. You know what I mean? So it's like we gotta fix a lot of shit here in Erie, but it's low hanging. It's not a lot. We're not far from being great. That's the thing. You know what I mean?
So how did you feel about the 2 projects, the old hotel on 10th Street? They turned it into, I believe,
apartments.
The
Avalon. The Bowie apartments.
It's ugly.
And I want you
that mural looks nice, but that black paint is just
that's crazy.
I
want you to touch on that, and I want you to also touch on what's the name of the one building across the street?
The Renaissance. They turned it into a hotel.
Yeah. So the Renaissance Center is exactly how you get development done, right? So, is there
any CBAs in that too? Cover that.
Not that I'm probably not. I don't know who would have done it. Like, you know what I mean? So no, I'm gonna go ahead and say no.
Okay.
But you want that, right? Anyone that's mad about Nick Scott building a hotel is mad for the wrong reasons. Like, you don't understand. Like, this dude isn't just like, I think we should build another hotel. Like, let's just go build one. Like,
strategy to it.
Yeah, there's market. You do market research. You know what I mean? You run. You go. All right, the market can sustain. X amount of people. If we build this, it's going to be. It's going to make money. You want these hotels to succeed. So we do need downtown development. But this Renaissance Center thing, it's a prime example. They went out and they built a capital stack and they leverage historical tax credits. I think they got that building registered. Yo, you know how much that shit pays for? Almost 47% total.
The historical tax
of your construction costs. So if it costs them $100 million to renovate that building, and they're doing it via historical tax credit, they get like, I want to say it's like 23% from the state. And then
I'm glad you just told. I'm working on something, so I'm glad you just told me that.
That's what we need to talk about. So when I talk about capital stacks, we need to get a much more focused show where I just talk about one thing because I got too much shit to say sometimes.
No, we need the town hall now.
Yeah, but that's a capital stack. What it is all it is I'm stacking different funding mechanisms on top of each other, and it's different than a loan. It's different than just sponsor equity. There's different ways to build project than just someone giving you money and you doing it. The government is begging us to build projects.
So now what I need you to do is, because I understand it, maybe some of our viewers may not understand. If you can break that down and talk to me like I was in the 6th grade, what is stacking mean?
All right, so easiest way to do this: you and your friends, you want to buy the newest video game, right? The video, it costs $100, $99. You get the special limited edition, 2K. You got $50,
right?
So you go, damn, that's not enough money for me to get there. I got 50% of the money. Where do I get this other 50 from, right? Well, you start doing some research, and you help Malcolm, and you go, yo, I want to get this game. You interested? Like, what can you provide into it? And he goes, well, I got 20. I'll put 20 in. So now you got $70. You negotiated with him some form of benefit for him to give you the $20.
Okay.
Maybe he did it because he likes you.
Right.
Maybe he did it because you're going to offer him an equity opportunity when he can
play the game.
Yeah, so he can play the game. Like, you get it 2 hours a week.
Got you.
Right. So he gets a benefit of the project. So now you got to go out and raise 30. So now the two of you are together. Your stack consists of $50 from Deontay, $20 from you. You got to go get this other 30. And then you see, the city is running a raffle for whatever. Let's go enter this. If we win this hula hoop contest, we can get another $20 grant. Right? So let's go apply. And if they pick us and they think we're the best hula hoopers, they'll give us this $20 reward, aka grant.
Right.
And now we got $90. So I stacked my hula hoop award on top of your money, on top of your money. Now we're $10 short, right? So I go to a bank and I say,
I got a whole team.
I'm 90% there. Here's the value. Here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do when we get the game and why you should give me this money because it's going to benefit us. And the bank goes, all right, I like that plan. That makes sense. When you get that game, it seems like there's a really good chance this is going to be successful and your goals are going to be achieved. Here's the other $10.
It's a partnership.
Partnerships. It's all it is. You got to find out this money is sitting out there. Everybody who's listening to me, Google new market tax credits.
New market tax credits.
That is a tax credit that is specifically meant to spur economic development in underfunded and underprivileged areas. Exactly where we're sitting right now.
Wow.
So whoever is building this project could have went out and they could have stacked, because I don't know what they're using, but I'm assuming it's a commercial. It's got to be something that benefits the neighborhood. So like childcare, a grocery store, it just can't be like a vape shop.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's got to be something that benefits the neighborhood, would qualify you for tax credit.
So again, I know you said education, right? But outside of that, like how is it that you've attained all of this information in such a short period of time? And why do you think that we have not applied it here in the city of Erie? And what's stopping us from doing it now?
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a douchebag when I say this, but like I'm in grad school at Harvard. So
you right now?
Yeah, so that's where I'm learning all of this stuff.
Okay.
I'm getting my master's in sustainability. Now everybody knows. But yeah, so that's where I'm learning all this stuff.
Okay.
My last professor in my last class, I specifically brought to him my plan for what I'm trying to build here in Erie. He knows about Erie because he's one of the architects of opportunity zones. We need to talk about that too.
There we go.
He's like, I'm so excited that someone like you lives in Erie, because all of us around the country that do this, we've always talked about how Erie is Erie is a gem. It's one of the few places in America where you can still come in and.
So it's people around the world looking at Erie like, I'm about to come in here and I can run it up.
1,000%. The only thing that's stopping people though is is the money. There's the market. The wages are low.
Right.
So if you're a big developer like a Blue Ocean, you're not going to come here and invest $40 million in a project because the returns just aren't there yet. That's why we need to build small business from the ground up, build, our entrepreneurship network.
Right.
And then we start growing our wealth through those means, and we'll start attracting bigger business, and we'll be able to charge a little bit more for rent.
Why is the wages so low?
I mean,
Or
because
is
we
that
don't demand
just-
anything.
Is it just?
This is why. The cost of living is low here because everybody's poor. And when we do get jobs that come here, like Nick Scott, one of the biggest employers here, I don't think one city council member has ever been like, hey, Nick Scott, do you think you could maybe pay your employees a little bit more? I would love to see how many of his employees are on welfare.
Oh, listen, I'm glad that you said that because they was challenging him a little bit, but they could push for that. And again, that's why I ran for city council, because I feel like when you one of 7 and you can get some of the other 6 to kind of like understand what we're trying to do and how we're trying to build the city, you can influence decisions and you can make people do things that are in the best interest of the infrastructure of the city. And when you're working alongside the mayor, and the mayor is responsible for the people, you can get the mayor to understand that we are trying to build the infrastructure up so that you can serve the people.
Yeah.
So then when you talk about some of the city council people, or past, present, and maybe even future, like, I believe that they need to be a little bit more tough and a little bit more educated on some of the things that they can do to take advantage of building our city up. And since I'm assuming you don't plan on running for any.
No.
So since that's the case, like, what would you encourage our elected officials to do when it comes to bringing money and bringing opportunities into the city of Erie? When we talk city council for the infrastructure, what do you think that they should be doing?
Do more than just go to the conference that's brought to you. Actually seek out plans, educate yourself, like really educate yourself. Civic engagement, social, all the social stuff is great. Like it's amazing, but like freedom don't mean shit if you can't eat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so let's chew gum and walk at the same time. Like, we don't have to just focus on the social issues. And we do that, I think, and a lot of elected officials do that because that's what gets the headlines. It's boring to talk about bonds and zoning and about tax credits. Like, half the people in here is probably, I don't know what these people are talking about. They've already dipped out and left. You know what I mean? But when I get up here and start talking about, man, fuck the police.
I was just about to say that, bro.
Like, everybody's gonna be in the chat like, hell yeah. And then everybody else gonna be coming to defend it. Yeah. So like, when we
talk about stuff that matters, it doesn't get that much attention.
Exactly. Nobody gives a shit.
You're going to develop something. You're in the process of developing something. My question to you, because you're trying to do it in English, are you being blocked?
Yes. Oh yeah, already. Not in a malicious way. Now let me say that in an ignorance is bliss type of way. And I don't know enough. I think I know, should I say. You can't do it. I specifically had someone tell me that, damn, you know what, fuck it, because that dude was a dick to me anyway. So this dude basically told me that I proposed doing historical tax credit on a building that was built in the 1800s here in Erie. So a 200-year-old building. Already had talked to the city about potentially getting this building zoned historic, and that they were willing to explore that and even potentially cover the costs. Because I explained to them, if we could, then I could access these funds, then we can redevelop this project, and I could do this. No, I know better. I've done historical stuff. I got a PhD. That does not work. It doesn't make sense. I know. Like, this dude literally yelling at me. Yo, this was actually at your town hall right before we went on stage and everything. Literally just straight yelling at me, telling me that I don't know what I'm talking about, this, that. And I said to him, like, well, the guy down, who actually runs a historical program, he said that, it's not a guarantee, but they're more than willing to explore it. You don't even want to explore this for the cost? No.
Is it Eagle?
No. Huh?
Is Eagle?
No. So like, that's the type of shit that I'm running into. And so now, like, there's no exploration for these historical tax credits that would have funded 47% of this project. And we're talking about millions of dollars. So now we got to go out and find that gap. We got to find that 47%. And that's what they were trying to do before. So then
let me ask you this one. So when you say that, right, and I'm glad right now is a way, and this is an opportunity for us to put you on a platform to kind of explain this a little bit better and a little bit more. And I appreciate I appreciate you being willing to come and speak to us. But how do we offer this information more so that more people will understand it? Because this is what I will say. I've complained about study sessions at city council. You know what I mean? Everybody gets an opportunity to have a presentation and stuff like that. But like, is there an opportunity? Is there something that you can be like, okay, I want to present CBAs to city council. I want to present some of these opportunities to city council and take up those first couple of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it takes, and like pitch your presentation to let them know these are how we can bring things into the city. Is that something that you would be willing to do?
No.
Damn.
No, and it's not, and like I might just sound like an asshole saying that, but like the last 10 years prior to this, that's what I did.
Right.
I spent like advocating and doing all this stuff.
Right.
I've had so much more success stepping away, and I see a different approach to do things.
Okay.
I think that's great. I think there's groups out there who they decided to take on the challenge, and they're the ones that should be doing that. And I don't think they're doing a good job at it at all. Like, it's just not good enough to show up. Showing up is like the bare minimum. Like, show out, like do something.
Right.
So, you know, I saw someone in the comments say, you know, was it Erie County United has been leading the CBA talk for years, and it's like, well, if they have, like, why has not one CBA ever been signed?
Yeah, I seen that.
You know what I mean? That. It's like, so if they've been the ones leading and they're the leaders, we need some new leaders.
Yeah.
So, you know,
respectfully,
I would respectfully. I would
like
challenge.
That's a lot. It feels like, because I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's like we climbed the mountain, but we almost there, but we just can't get there.
Well, there's a lot of this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We're both climbing the mountain, but I'm nudge you a little bit.
Right.
You can't get there before me.
Right.
I got to get up top first. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot. And you get, you know, it always comes back to, if you're in office, you know, you got an ego to begin with. Because at some point you said, man, I could do that.
Right.
Everyone will vote for me. I could do it better than them.
Right.
So you got that mentality already sitting in your thing. It's hard to shake that once you're in that seat.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see by human nature why you want to be the one that brings this. But like the competition, the real success is if we can change Erie from where we are now to where we should be.
Right.
Not because you got 1 or 2 resolutions passed and you can say I did this. Because I've got multiple resolutions passed through the city and county, and I've never held office once.
Right.
And I also just don't go around and look
Right.
what I did.
Right.
I'm great. But you know what? There's a voter registration day right now in Erie because of me. All I had to do was say I want to establish a voter registration day, and they literally passed it in resolution. You know what I mean?
We need to stop right there because that is important, right? We need to have more voter registration. We need to be getting people registered to vote, because this is something that I will say. This is something that I'm seeing when we talk about city council, and then when we talk about minorities, and we talk about you know, Democrats, and having, like, you got Andre, you got Mo, you got Jasmine, who are all minorities, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have Dr. Tyler Titus, who's also minority. So then we have an upcoming election. We need to get people registered to vote and voting, because if we can get them together to start voting on a block, or start voting, not to disagree in public and be like, okay, these are some of the things that we want for our community, regardless of how people feel about it. Like, we got the numbers to make things happen. And I feel like with the information that you're talking about and the knowledge that you have, if we can get that stuff presented, and them educated, it's more or less we can get some of these projects going, so then that way we can have a better Erie. What's your thoughts on that? Because you took a little sigh when I said that.
Yeah, I think, you know, all of those people you named are just gonna automatically win their seats again if they run for office. So getting people registered to vote, I don't think necessarily is the problem.
So this year is 3 new seats. So this year is Ed Brzezinski's seat is up.
He's gone.
Yeah, Ed Brzezinski, Dr. Tyler Titus' seat is up, and Shaw is up. Those 3 seats are available.
2 probably new people. If
right.
You know, if Kathy decides though she wants to be city council person again,
right.
like the super voters are gonna make her city council person
absolutely
again.
Absolutely.
You know, shout out, she earned that respect and that right through her work. So that's no knock on her. And if Ed, let's keep it real, if Ed decides he wants to be on just to fuck with everybody, be on city council again, all the old white dudes are going to vote Ed back in for city council. Go down to the Polish Falcons or the East Erie Turners, and all his signs will be up, and you can see them all in the comments like, "Oh, I support you."
And Ed got money too.
Yeah,
he got money.
I don't know what his personal business is, but yeah, I mean, he's got support. Dude's got, you know, he has influence. So if he wants his seat, he can continue to have it. So like, you know, I'm not saying he's unbeatable, but like if that dude really wants to, like, nobody's ever outturned the super voters in Erie. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So all three of them could potentially stay in there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, you know, I think it's more about getting quality candidates to run. And that party, our local party, has to do a better job educating our candidates and vetting our candidates. It's not enough just to run. Like, you know, That's great. It takes a lot to run, like, and I have mad respect for anyone who runs for office, because to stand up there and put yourself on a pedestal and let everyone say, tell me the worst things about me is hard. Like, that's hard, especially when you're doing it from a place where I'm just trying to help you and you're being a dick to me. Like, what the hell? So, like, I get it and I respect it, but just because you want it doesn't mean you're going to be good at it. Right. And I think we as a party, we got a new party chair, we have new leaders in our party, and I'll wait for them to see what they do. I hope they recognize that they need to educate their candidates better.
Right.
They need to prepare them better. And then if you are not qualified, just because you're a Democrat does not mean that we need to be out here endorsing and supporting you.
Right. And it was when you say that, right? So, and maybe that's what I'm glad that you said that last thing, because when I ran, I had little to no support from our party. No, I didn't go through them and I didn't ask for no help or nothing like that.
You didn't kiss the ring, right?
But it was like, there was no, like, I was able to put one of my signs in the window, but as far as like, when I ran my campaign, it was me, Davina, and Kate Dolak. Mm-hmm. None of us really had no experience in, like, we were just putting out social media flyers, fundraisers, and it was pretty. But we was able to rally up some people to help support us. But when it came to actually run, those were the only 3 people who was like, there's no Sam Tallarico calling me and saying, hey, how can I help you? Yeah. There was none of the phone bakers was like, hey, we'll knock. No, matter of fact, let me say, Carlos Mora knocked doors with me because he was with Chuck Nelson. So me and Carlos Mora knocked doors with Chuck Nelson. And Brian Barber, who's one of the police officers, he knocked doors with me. Him and I, we went to school together or whatever, but Chuck kind of arranged that. Uh-huh. So Chuck Nelson was like my biggest support from the Democratic Party. But outside of that, like, I was asking him, like, yo, why y'all ain't putting my stuff in the emails when I'm having these events and stuff like that? And then even right now, the Democratic Party, it seems as though they only get active during primaries. Like, they're not educating people during the off season.
Bro, they had the DNC chair, I think, here the other day, right? You would think, as involved as I've been in politics and campaigns the last like 5, 6, 7 years here in Erie, that I would have got invited or been told about it.
Right.
Nope. I seen that shit on Facebook, and I seen people from Butler at this thing. Right. People from outside of our city at this thing.
And they'll say, "Oh, you didn't check. We emailed it to you. You didn't check your email." But this is a thing too, and I will say, and this is not that, like, Sam Tallarico will send you an email at 3:15 in the morning. From the Democratic Party. I'm gonna keep it 100. Like, I don't care, because he signed up for that job. He signed up for that role. It's been I wake up early, 4:30, but I don't know what time Sam sleeps or what time Sam wakes up. But I get emails from Sam Tallarico at 3:30 in the morning, and it's a list of like 4 or 5 different events. But it's like, you see, like, man, I'm
fire hose of information.
Yeah, and it's a bunch, and it's like, first of all, it's an overload, and then at 3:30 in the morning, like, I'm thinking this is Macy's or something trying to sell me a sweater or something, so I'm not paying no attention.
Yeah, and I'm not, once again.
And I love Sam. Yeah. I love Sam. He's a great guy, but I'm just saying, as far as when it comes to those messages.
I think we took a big step back in the last 4 years in regards to being a local party. I think we did it as a national party, but also as a local party. And, maybe I'm selfishly saying this because I was involved a lot prior to this. Basically from 2017 to 2023, I worked on every major race here in town. So things aren't done the same way as they were. The input's not the same. I don't think the education or the wisdom is the same. Now, they got all new people, and I respect a lot of the new people that are in there, and I think a lot of those people I've worked with, and I do know that they know what to do. I hope they do the right things, and that they push our party forward to where we should be. Man, we're a juggernaut. We are a bellwether county. We're the county that decides who the president of the United States is. We get no respect. We have no money. Why do we not have money? Why do we not have a full-time executive director?
We don't have no money.
No, we got no money. You know why?
They just got put out their spot. Like,
you want to know why? Because me and Jim were the only ones that ever raised money for this party ever in the history of this.
They don't even have an address right now.
No.
Like, where's the office at for the Democratic Party?
We got nothing.
So even if we were
nothing.
You saying the Democratic Party does not have.
There's no office right now. We don't have an address. So let's say, for instance, you was to be like, yo, I want to sit down and have a conversation with somebody about, Democratic. I want to help. Whatever I can do, where can I go? You can send an email out.
You could drive to Mill Creek and meet the new chairman.
You can get a phone call, but they can meet me at Tim Hortons and let's talk. You can't go to the Democratic Party office because it doesn't exist anymore.
This is what's wild about this little conversation. Because last year, when we started going and talking on those mics, there's been more people talking on those mics, questioning our government, our city and county council.
Right.
That right there would tell me, as a Democratic chair that I need to pay attention to those people because more people are speaking.
Right.
They're stepping up.
Right.
And you mean to tell me that they don't have a building for any of those people that's been coming to the mic questioning about finances, what's going on in the city as far as health?
They didn't want to pay the rent.
Look, when the new chair took over after the former chair, who I worked really close with, resigned, anytime there was an opportunity for money to be raised, I would send an email and a text. And I would say, hey, they just overturned Roe v. Wade or whatever. Like, we got to send out a fundraising letter. This is a great opportunity for us to raise some money for the party so that we can, fight back against this and arm our candidates. Crickets. No response. Not even or anything. So after like a year of me being like, hey, we should do this. Hey, we should do that. I was like, all right, they obviously don't want or respect my opinion. I just shut the fuck up. And then if you look over the last 4 years at our voter registration across the state, but specifically here in Erie,
right?
It's just,
if it wasn't for Gary Horton, we probably wouldn't even have the numbers that we do have.
I mean, facts.
Because Gary be out here with the bus and he be knocking doors and he got his whole community. But yeah, I just found out the other day is like the Democratic Party doesn't have a headquarters anymore, and it seems as though the only time they wanted to get active and raise funds is during their primaries. And I'm not saying that to shit on anybody, but it's more or less to raise the awareness of people so that way we can do better, because I want people to know that we are watching, we are paying attention. Yes. And although it may or may not be possible, but there's a bunch of Republicans who feel like, oh, we can take it over.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
And they could if they got organized. And I'm going to say this to the Democrats, and I know the Democrats here in Erie that know this. If the Republicans ever got organized, they would beat our ass. And that's a fact. Because they're just not. They fight almost as much as we do. And we got this, we have the voter registration, and we got the fact that we have this city.
All right.
But I mean, look at, you can see that they're willing to vote. This county is willing to vote for Republicans. We have a Republican state senator.
Right.
We had a Republican county executive.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So
you got to also remember the independent voter. But you just sitting up here saying what the Democrats is going through,
right,
that might make somebody be like, well, wait a minute.
Right.
I'm not cool with a Republican. I'm a Democrat, but maybe it's time for me to go the independent route.
Absolutely.
And I would say don't do that. The right way is just not say maybe I should go the independent route. It's the right way is to say maybe I need to start showing up and
build the party.
And build the party.
And
make the party you want. And I promise you it is not hard. I'm not special in any way. And I told you how I just started showing up to meetings. And from that, I parlayed that into a career.
Okay.
So the bar is very low. I promise you.
Okay.
So get involved.
We've been cooking for an hour and 17 minutes, right? But I want to make sure that we get back to the conversation because it's important for me to talk about finances and bag and stuff like that. So, I mean, you on the board of the Diverse Erie, you know what I mean? We've talked a little bit about CBA. So if you had to give any information to the community as far as like fundraising, finances, how to get money, how to save money, manage, maintain grants and stuff like that, like what would you say for first the working people, not in this order, but the working person, the entrepreneur, the person running for, politics or whatever, how can we increase our revenue, increase our income so then that way we can be taken more seriously?
Yes, good question.
That's a lot. All right, I'll start with, I guess, the elected official. How can we increase Erie's revenue? A couple things. We have some benefits to this city that other countries or that other towns don't. And one of them is our cost of living. I work with a lot of folks that live in like Chicago, Dallas, LA, whatever, New York City. And I always tell them, brag to them about, $500,000 in Erie will get you a house on the lake. You know what I mean? And they're always like, $500,000 in New York won't get you nothing. You know what I mean? I fly out to like San Francisco. My boss works in Montana.
You always on the plane too, bro. I be seeing that. You be everywhere.
I got that high status on American Airlines. I'm proud of that. But I go out to Montana where my boss works, and he lives in Bozeman, Montana, and they have one of the highest remote worker populations in America because everyone started watching Yellowstone during COVID, and all the rich people are like, let's move to Montana because they had the money, and they're able to pick up and transition to an area that was marketed and pitched to them. Erie needs to start marketing and pitching what we do have to the rest of this country. So what that means is I don't want to see a billboard between 79, between Meadville and Erie. I don't need, what why do I need to advertise to Meadville? Meadville knows what's going on in Erie.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
obviously we need to advertise, but like, why am I focusing on Meadville
Got you.
and not putting billboards up in Cleveland or putting billboards up in Pittsburgh? Come to our beach, ride on our beach. Why am I not connecting as the city and as the county with recruiters to bring remote workers and their 8 and 6-figure salaries from the Silicon Valley to Erie, Pennsylvania, where their $1 million goes 5,000 times farther than it would ever in San Francisco? Why are we not attracting these people? Why are we not, why does Erie not have a Erie County film office when you just watched Pittsburgh, build part of its economy back on bringing movies in Hollywood? Batman was filmed down there, all these movies.
Yeah.
That's, how many people they bring in to do that? That's money for vendors. That's money for maintenance, security, all these local ancillary jobs. I think, there's so much low hanging fruit that we can do as an elected official. Those are some things that I would do. And I'm up here. It's easy for me to say because I don't have to sit on those boards.
Right.
And I don't have to convince 6 other people what to do. So it's easy for me to be like, this is what you should do and what you should. So, to all you elected officials listening to me, I recognize it's not as simple as saying it.
And somebody said that. Somebody said in the comments too.
But you all know damn well that it's possible.
Right.
So if you live by the words, oh, it's going to be harder, it's not that simple, it's not that easy, well, you already failed. All right. So that's what got us to where we are. So I would just encourage you to take some leaps and bounds, because if you don't, we're just going to be exactly where we were 20 years ago in 20 years.
So let me ask you this: would there be anybody who is an elected official that would disagree with anything that you just said?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of them. They would be like, oh, you don't understand government. And I would say to you, I think I interned and I worked 40 hours a week for our county government. I have personal relationships with all elected officials basically throughout the county, and I've talked to multiple of them about what goes on. I know about policy. I've studied it. My undergrad is in political science and policy. So I would say that I have a pretty good grasp on it.
So you ain't just running your mouth.
I'm not just running my mouth.
There
what
we
I'm
go.
saying is that Detroit can do it.
I was going to say that because
Philly can do it.
It makes sense because you're going to major cities,
and I'm seeing it happen in front of me.
Right.
Like with the guy, like there was somebody that was, I don't believe in community benefit agreements. It's like, go tell Atlanta you don't believe in community benefit agreements, because they're building the backbone of their affordable housing network in Atlanta is based off of community benefits. They run one of the biggest and best community benefit agreement programs in the nation. You know what I mean? So like, I would say that to an elected official who says it's not that simple. It's like, well, maybe you need to work harder.
Right. And educate yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, because you know what? The guy over there that I talked to, or girl over there, they told me how they did it. I'm going to give you a prime example. And I'm going on tangents, but I work in an area called Danville, Virginia. It's very similar to Erie. Small town. There's not really much around it. They just built and launched the Caesar's Palace Casino. And I'm not talking about no weak-ass casino like we got, half casino. Full-fledged Caesar's Palace.
Okay.
I talked to the city council member while he was going through. I'm like, oh my God, that's wild. Like, how did you get them to build this here? And he goes, he's like, well, they wanted to build a Harris at first. And we were like, no, we're not taking Harris. Harris is their low-budget casino.
Right.
He's like, you want to come here? We got a super fun site. They have a large swath of development land ready to go, with utilities and all that stuff. You're going to bring in Caesar's Palace. We're not getting a shitty thing, or just don't bring your casino here.
Right.
We'll find something else. Right. We're confident that we'll be able to find, because we built an environment that's conducive to bringing things in. So Caesar's Palace was like, damn, all right, we'll build a full Caesar's Palace. So right now, if you go down to Danville, Virginia, a little small town in Virginia, there's a Caesar's Palace the size of Las Vegas just sitting in the middle of Danville, Virginia, because they fought to get that versus just being happy they were getting.
Right, like don't just give me anything. Like, you're not finna just give me anything.
Because how many people you think were like, man, what if they don't want to come? All the jobs we lose, all the tax dollars.
Right.
I promise you, someone said that, and I promise you that there was someone who was like, yeah, but what if they come?
Scare money.
And it's all money. Scare money don't make money.
Bro, it's Caesars.
It's Caesar's Palace.
Scare money don't make
money.
money.
They was gonna make money because
it's a casino.
Whatever Virginia and whatever state Virginia border that ain't got a casino.
That's how it is.
They gonna take that little
45
that part
hour ride
just for the experience.
Yeah.
Just to say I went to
just to see how it feels. And it's 40. It's about 45 minutes to an hour away from the border of North Carolina. So you know what I mean. You're right on spot. People from DC come up to it and everything. So it's like that's what I would say to an elected official is that I've met and I've talked to elected officials who've had a lot of the same opportunities, like this marketplace that's going on, this Bayfront marketplace. Like great thing on the vote and understanding like their handicap, but you know, you could have been like, we're tabling this shit until you guys come back with a community engagement survey plan.
Right.
And you come back and you tell us that you listened to the community. You actually took into account what they want to see instead of just building and telling us what we want, because that's what they're doing. This is what you guys want. We want this day for our marketplace.
This is what you need. This is what you need. This is going to benefit you guys.
And what did our city council do? You know, everyone, they waved the flag. Oh, I don't support this, but I have to do it. You know, and they were able. Their people were like, oh yeah, you know, they had to. They didn't have a choice. Yes, you did. You had a choice. You could have tabled that shit.
One thing I learned,
you could have tabled it and then tabled it again and then tabled it again and then forced them to sue you and then be like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead. You know what I mean? Like, but instead, here they won't. No,
they don't listen to the residents here. I'm sorry.
No, because it's nepotism, and then but that's what I'm saying now. Like now that things are shifting, and we got a whole like because Mel's no longer there anymore, and then Ed, I'm not sure if Ed's going to be there anymore. So it's like there are it's a lot of people. This is what I will say. I'm not asking anybody to confirm this. I'm not asking you. There are a lot of people who are terrified that Andre Horton is now at city council because he has some type of influence, and I'm just hoping that Andre can have some of them principles, like you said, when we talk and table and take the risk of getting sued until it gets better. Like we have conversations, and I think when the next round comes, there might be some new candidates that are going to come up to where it's going to be more intimidating. They're going to be like, yo, these people not playing no more. And they saying like there are expectations for the community before anybody don't come down here asking for millions of dollars. Or don't come down here asking for tax breaks if you're not willing to build something or give something for the community.
And it also sends a message to these people who are in charge of our economic development and out here doing these national searches. Don't bring this bullshit to us because you think it's just good enough for Erie.
Right.
And that's what we're getting. Because city council will take it. They need it.
Right.
They're 12 million in a hole. They can't say no to this. Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can. Because not all money is good money. You know what I mean?
You talking that shit.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. We an hour and a half in. We might have to have a number two, a second episode for this, man. Because again, we've been on here for like a good hour and a half. You know, we talked about CBAs. We done talked about grants. We done talked about economic development, local government, and stuff like that. And I believe like we've had some good engagement in the comment section. A lot of people are following along. Even Andre was in there saying it's a good conversation. I mean, you send them a lot of shout outs. So again, man, we got to keep these conversations going. We got to keep people educated. So my question to you is, and this is going to be the last question I ask you before we get out here, and I'm going to let Max last, but how do we keep this type of engagement going outside of being on a podcast? Like, what would you suggest we as a community do to make sure that we are continuously having this type of conversation?
I think someone like you is positioned perfectly to lead this if you're willing, to lead the education and the access. You know, you don't necessarily need to be the one educating. You just need to put us in contact with the people doing the educate that can educate us. So, you know, if there's a couple of folks, you know, the people who said it's not that easy, you know, show me the right way, show me how you can do it then. That's what I would say is there's got to be someone that's willing to do it. I would love to sit here and commit to it and say I can do it, but like,
if I'm not you, man. Listen, I'm working on town hall number 3 anyway. So,
but this is what I will say, because sitting here getting to talk to you and getting to know you over the last year, and this is the 3rd time I've met you, but just sitting down here, listening to both of y'all, I don't understand how Erie dropped the ball on 2 go-getters, regardless of how it sounds to the people. Like, I got a big thing with people being peed off because it don't sound right to you when you mean good.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way Erie should be 2 people, in my eyes, on the outside looking in, trying to make a change to better this community. There's no way that y'all all-stars at what y'all do.
Proud and ego. They will have to pass the torch to young men. Man. I'm 40. How old are you? About 44?
Yeah, 40. Yeah, 44. Yeah.
44. I'm 40. You 44. We got people who are sitting in positions that's 70.
Right.
Like if you look at the school board, I'm not sure how old Sumner Nichols is, but he don't look as young as me. And then my Aunt Gwen is up there, and I know how old she is. You know what I mean? And then you think of Harkins, how old he is. Then you think of city council. You think about how old some of those people are. And then you think of county council. You think about how old. Right. I think it's people who've been holding the position for so long, they feel like we can't tell them nothing.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with fresh blood. Like, y'all offering something that this city.
They want the fresh blood from out of town.
They need to keep. It's right here in our.
Listen,
It's right here.
Don't get me started because we have been to turn this thing into a whole nother hour and a half.
Look,
which I'm happy to
look. Because we ain't leaving yet. We ain't leaving these microphones.
Mark holding us hostage. What you got, bro?
I want the people to understand what we are missing when we have two people sitting at this table in Erie,
Right,
dropping constant jewels,
right.
And I don't care if y'all rub people the wrong way. It's time to rub people the wrong way. People should be uncomfortable if they are not doing the job that you are willing to do. It's just like me getting on there talking about Black Lives Matter. I'm not waiting on nobody to come and say, don't say that. Or no, I'm saying what I want, when I want, how I want to.
Right.
Like,
if not you, then who, bro?
One thing Donald Trump taught me is don't give a fuck.
No, for real.
He don't care. So this is the type of energy that y'all got that Erie need, and it's lacking. And I just don't understand how people don't see what I see. And again, I don't care about the delivery and how y'all say it and what you say. If you listen to the message, you will understand it. Sometimes you got to listen.
Man, people don't want to hear what I got to say because they know I'm messing around to say anything.
Yeah. And that's,
it is what it is. He do it. His whole team do it.
Hey, man, I ain't him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel that part too, but at the end of the day, Erie got to get out this old school Lou Tulio mentality. And that's the era I grew up in. Like, he was the mayor when I was coming up.
Right.
Erie got to get out of that mentality.
Right.
Y'all ideas is too fresh.
Right.
We talking about expansion. They keeping everything on the bayfront. It don't make sense.
I think that's, we didn't even touch on opportunity zones and explain to people what's going on and why you're seeing all the construction downtown.
Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So if you should know this, we got so opportunity zones. They're actually pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, but they are another tool specifically built for rich folks.
Right.
And essentially, what you do is any capital gains that you may owe, you can either write a check to the IRS. So say you get $1 million, you sell your business for $1 million. Now you owe the IRS $333,000. At the end of the year, it's time for you to write your check. You can either write your check to the government, or you can write a $333,000 check to Deontay Cooley's Opportunity Zone Fund.
And I'm your friend.
And he's your friend. But so what you're doing is you're taking money, tax money, you're deferring it, and you're using it to invest in opportunity zones are in usually economically depressed areas. So they are a really good tool. And it's what we're seeing. It's how you get over that hurdle, what I talked about, the national cost of construction and the fact that Erie can't sustain these types of projects because we don't have the wages and the money to do that. You got to be able to subsidize that. This is part of a capital stack with an opportunity zone.
Right.
So essentially, if I put my $333,000 in Deontay's Opportunity Zone Fund, and after a certain period of time, there's I think there's a 5, a 7, and a 10-year waiting period. Any money that $333,000 produced. So now if that $333,000 is worth $3.3 million, it's tax-free.
Damn.
You get to withdraw. So you still got to pay that $333,000 to the IRS,
but the
everything else,
other $3 million is you.
That's tax-free.
And then on top of that, because he's invested with me as a friend, I still have a chance to do something.
Exactly. And it's, what are you going to do? You're going to hit up your buddy. If you're a developer, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to hit up Deontay. He just sold his business. He just retired. I know he's looking to mitigate some of his tax losses. Like, let's go get him. And the rich get richer. And, the one criticism I have of opportunity zones is they can be almost too successful.
Right.
And I think we're seeing that a little bit in Erie, where it's the investment's happening and we are getting good things, but we're focusing now back in downtown over and over.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
And it's because, well, look at it. Did so well there. We got to let's keep going there. Let's build that up instead of not going east side.
Yeah, that's my thing. But here, we got a question, right? It says, I have a question. And I'm going to answer the question first and see. But it says, is the key to Erie healing having a minority mayor? We have a minority mayor. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure if you meant like a person of color. And regardless of the contrary or whatever people do believe, like I believe in Daria. You know what I mean? I believe that Daria is going to do a good job. I think she can do a good job. I feel like We need to support her. She's just getting there.
Yep.
She has a track record of change. She has a track. She's not soft. And I would like Daria is not soft at all. You know, I've seen her working.
She's a thinker.
Yeah,
like she's a creative thinker.
Yeah, I've seen her perform in the school board. I've had conversations with her. I've had working relationship with her as well. I think she just got in at a tough time to where a lot of stuff is going on, and we're not gonna take it easy on her because she is new. So you know what I mean. But I've had conversations with Daria, and I believe in her, and I think that she can do good work. But so I'm under the impression that the question may be, as the key to Erie Healing having, when you say minority, I'm assuming black. Or not. I'm not even gonna say, but not white.
Yes.
Okay, but I'm just saying if maybe he can hop back on the comments and she can let us know.
I'll answer from the black.
Okay, because Daria is a minority.
I don't think we'll ever see a black man.
What? Ever? Oh, you tripping?
Nah,
you
that's
tripping?
gonna happen.
I won't see it.
Yes, you will.
I don't think so.
Shit. Look,
I can name 2 or 3 people right now that if they decide to run for mayor, they would be mayor.
Bob Marv.
I'm not going to
don't do that. No. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now.
I gotta get my co-sign out there.
Yeah, I know a couple folks too. Yeah, we don't do that. But
and I think, will it help? Yeah, I think having that perspective. But if it's a black person that hasn't gone through the struggles in Erie and what Erie's experienced, does it really matter? I mean, obviously, there's going to be some cultural things that you can put together that others wouldn't be able to. But I think it's really about someone that's been from our city and experienced our city. Mm-hmm. Think about the people who've been in charge. Joe Schember, maybe he struggled when he was younger, but he didn't for the last 30, 40 years of his life.
Rich.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Joe Sennett, he's an attorney. That dude didn't struggle.
Rich.
You know what I mean?
Rick Philippi,
attorney. Rich didn't struggle. Now, I don't know Mayor Savacchio, what she did. I was like 5 when she was the mayor.
Right.
She's the last mayor that I think everyone gives credit to as like transformational and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Maybe she had a different background, but I do know the dudes that I do run around with that care. They came from a background similar to us, where everything wasn't given to them. They had to earn it. And I think that's really what matters, is we need to have some folks in there that have earned their way in, not have been given the easy path.
Okay, so like now we an hour and 30 minutes in. Now people want to ask questions. Dana said, why can't the people who look like us come together and do something big? I think that's a divisive question. I'll take that one. I think that's a divisive question because I work with people who look like us and we do come together. I think some people have issues with ego, or some people have issues with like either they want to be the boss or they don't want to do the work. But I think when you ask questions like that, that's kind of divisive because there are people, and then even yourself, like I see you building the team. Yeah. Shout out to my cousin Daniel Keefe. He just signed with Aggressive Real Estate and he signed under Dana's team. So like when you ask questions like that, I feel like that's a very vague question, especially when you're working with people who look like you and you're building those people up. I think it's more or less we got to get out of the silo thing and figure out how we can start actually working together. Like if I have a group of 5 to 7 people and you have a group of 5 to 7 people, we all can sit down and have that conversation and check those egos at the door and understand that everybody can't be the captain. But people who look like us definitely do work together. And I'm saying that because even when we talk about Black Access Media, like there are people who look like us who are working together. We just had a great event. It was a great time. People showed up. We got sponsors. We got a bunch of different shows and things like that. So I think when stuff like that gets said, it kind of pits us against one another as opposed. But I do understand though, you know what I mean? I think that's for like the older generation of people.
Yes.
I think the older generation of people don't want to work with the younger generation of people who look like. So maybe I was wrong, and maybe I'll reformulate the question. There we go, about business and business, get our hands in the downtown development. Okay. But again, so you think like the older generation of people have so much influence and they have so many connections. And then there's a young generation of people who were like, I think they still look at us like we 18 to 19-year-old kids.
Oh, exactly.
And they don't see us as 40, you know what I mean? 35 to 40-year-old adults where it's like, oh, you still got to wait your turn. And it's like, wait, I'm proving in my work history, my resume. I know Dana got an investment portfolio. I know Dana's got a working history. I know you got a working history in the portfolio, but it's like the old heads feel like they can't trust us or they don't want to get out of the way. And it makes it appear as though we can't work together. But a lot of us are working together. And then she said, building, get our hands in the downtown development. I think we should be building on the east side. The downtown development, they already got plans for that.
But the east side is prime. Me personally, but
I'm trying to buy the east side.
Is that Dana Real Estate?
Yeah, Dana Dickerson. Yeah, it's up there. It's all up there.
I can't see. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. She said, first thing she said, why can't the people who look like us come together and do something big? And then when I started explaining, she said, I'm talking about building business and get our hands in the downtown development.
I do want to point something out. I feel like I got I've had a unique perspective because I've managed the congressional races and some of the local races that I've had. Is like, I'm always usually 99% of the time, like the only like non-white dude in the room. And so I always look around, and that makes me the designated minority most of the time. So Ejay, you need to go out.
It's a token.
Yeah. You know, hey, Ejay, you should hit up the Hispanic community. You know,
right.
Like Ejay, go hit up the Latino community. You know, we talk to the Black community. This shit happens in all the communities.
Right.
So it's not just, I hear that all the time. Like, oh yeah, this group fights over here. You got factions in the African American community. It's like, that shit isn't. The white people do it. The Hispanic, it's a power thing. It's not a cultural thing.
Right.
Now there might be different nuances to it, but I think it's like anybody who's in power, like we're seeing that struggle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't want to let go. The older generation, they, you know, we're their kids.
Right.
And now, you know, we still look like the kids, kind of.
Right.
They look beat as hell when they're our age. And now it's hard to listen to your kids.
I think it's simple because I think people need to build a team. The team needs to understand
infrastructure.
Right. But the team needs to understand their role.
That part.
If my role is to get up and go to the meeting, that's my role.
Right. If my job is to mop the floor, right. I'm mopping the floor. And I think that, so when you talk about that, even going back to Dana, I think, and this is just from conversations I have with other people, it's like, we're not ready for the opportunities when they come because we don't build the infrastructure. We don't have our business registered. Mm-hmm. We don't have all of the credentials that we need. So then once the opportunity comes, we're scrambling out like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? As opposed to already being ready. So when it comes, it's like, all we got to do is apply.
Yeah, before you go, because Dana is right. It's a lot of people that I see doing great work in the inner city, but everybody is not working together.
How many people you know that got their own program?
That part a lot,
right? Everyone's got a program. Oh, you know,
everybody.
I'm about to start my 501c3. I'll let you know. You know, I get hit up all the time. You know, I'm about to start a new program. You got any advice? Yeah, don't start a program. Go see if you can work with somebody else and make their program better. That would be my advice.
Right.
And everything. So, but
damn, that was a good one.
The infrastructure. I was talking about the infrastructure.
Oh, so
we're not ready for the opportunities when they come.
You made such a valid point. So this is a conversation. This was like 2 months ago. I was meeting with somebody specifically to talk about business development in Erie. Why can I not attract, and why can't we attract someone to come in here and just invest, a mega investor to build in our community? And he said, okay, say you do have somebody and they got $100 million and they want to spend it in Erie. Where are they going to spend it?
That part.
There's nothing, there's no product available.
Yeah. Or everybody doing it at their house or at their garage or at their, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? Well, I'm talking more of like development. Like if I wanted to come build like $100 million mixed use district or development or something like that. Where am I going to do that at?
Right.
We haven't set our city up to attract those types of projects. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have a city land bank. I'm blessed that I was appointed and I serve on the city land bank. The reason I wanted to get on the city
I didn't talk to you about that.
Yeah. The reason I want to get on the city land bank is because, you know, from the outside, you always judge. You don't know what the hell's going on.
Right.
You think you can do better. And from what I've seen is like, right now, the way that we do things is, all right, there's a dilapidated house over there. Let's acquire it, knock it down, we'll sell it to somebody, they can flip it and everything like that. And that's cool. That's great. And we're new and we're early. And we're still in Erie, the city of Erie, I guess, is considered one of the like more advanced in the way they they acquire properties across the country. So shout out to them. But another way that we can do this is use it more in a methodical way where we're developing tracts of land.
Right.
So that we can build projects instead of having a block that has 3 vacant lots up and down it randomly.
Right.
And you just got all these vacant lots or houses that are 20 G's that need to get flipped. Let's create an area where we can actually attract a developer in so that they can build a nice quality 100-unit building.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so like that, those are tools and ways that we can be a little bit more strategic in our thinking. And I would encourage everybody, like boards, commissions, all these things, like, man, this is where a lot of work gets done.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The authority boards and commissions, the ABCs.
Man, and I'm telling you, and this is not a knock to any of my former colleagues that were on boards with me, not everybody cares. A lot of them are just happy to be there.
Yeah, to take up a seat.
You have to take up a seat. It's a prestigious thing. I'm on this board. And they vote yes, yay, nay. They sign everything. They never speak up. They never come with ideas. They never try to make change or anything. So I would encourage you, if you do want to get involved and you care about parks, maybe you care about hoops and that there's no, why don't we have more basketball?
Right.
Why don't we have more basketball hoops in here, which is wild. All these damn pickleball, like who's playing pickleball anyway? But that's a whole other thing.
You're gonna piss some people off with that one. Pickleball done took over, bro. I only played twice, but I enjoyed it. But Parks and Rec, but that's the thing too.
Get on Parks and Rec.
But the thing
You know
is,
what I mean?
and so I forget who was saying this. When we think Parks and Rec, everybody just focuses on park and not the recreation part.
Yes.
And realize that there are funds for recreation as well. We don't have to think, okay, we just want y'all to put basketball hoops up. Like my big grown self might want a pull-up bar, you know what I mean, at McKinley, or, you know, we might want a whole outdoor facility. But it's like when we think parks or recreation, like we might want somewhere where we can go have a card tournament and play pinochle at the park.
How wild is it that our beach doesn't have like a fitness area?
That's ridiculous,
no,
bro.
Are we the only beach in America that doesn't
That's
have like
ridiculous,
a pull-up bar,
bro.
like an outdoor, like, you know, dip bar? Like it's wild. You know what I mean? Like, and down in Miami on South Beach, they have a trailer. They drop it right there on the spot every morning. That trailer gets unlocked by the Parks and Rec dude.
Mm-hmm.
All the weights are in there. They all work out in the sand. And at the end of the night, everybody puts the shit back. And the community uses it. Why do we not have stuff like that? Why do we have examples of how we can make our city bigger, better all over the country, but we never even try?
So check this question out, because I'm listening to you real heavy. I'm about to get your phone number made and part of the team now. But one thing I pay attention to is Nick Scott, and I'm going to go back to him. It has to be a reason that he doesn't mess with anything in the inner city. He got Summit locked up. He on the Bayfront.
Oh, it's probably taxes. It got to be taxes.
Yeah, you get tax breaks up there.
Yeah, it's way cheaper.
But again, I'm a person
That
don't know. There's people out there listening that don't know.
Yeah, if you don't know, it's way more
that.
expensive to live in the city of Erie than it is in Mill Creek, Harbor Creek, or Fairview.
Yeah, I'm not paying to build the ghetto up.
$100,000 house in Erie's taxes are probably the same as like a $200,000-$300,000. You know, you got to check this out, but
yeah, I mean, you got the emergency services and all that. You got to pay for it and all of that
and
too.
a lot of that is because, you know, we've given away most of our land to nonprofits. You know, we could talk about a density ordinance for that if you want. There's a way to legislate around that. Other cities and countries have done that. I've actually brought that up multiple times to multiple elected officials, and you've been like, "Oh, that's a great idea."
They probably just look at you. Oh, he thinks he knows everything. Get out, EJ.
Well, that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what we learned, because obviously, if Nick Scott owns all this property, what does he give back to the city?
Why? What incentive does he have to give back to the city?
But I'm just asking because I'm a city. I live in the city. Grandkids go to Splash Lagoon.
Right.
We go down to Beer Garden.
Right.
We spending our money. City people are spending their money with this man and this enterprise.
Right.
Yeah. I want to know if I'm pouring into him, is he pouring into me?
Yeah. The answer is no.
Why would he?
Not. But why would he? Who has ever asked him to or made him? He's gotten everything he's ever wanted without having to. So why would he just volunteer? Listen, man, rich people are rich
and tight.
Yeah. And once you get that money, like, you know, they start spending it. So unless they're forced to do it, you know, either through a social awareness campaign, like, it's wild to me that the CBA talk's going on right now and no one has tried to force a CBA on the Scots when they're still trying to get money to build a hotel down there. Like, I'm going to repeat that again. Like, why is nobody trying to get a CBA out of them?
Maybe next council meeting, that's what we need to be talking about.
I learned this, that real bad talk right here.
And listen,
I'm listening.
I think there's some confusion here. You do not have to be an elected official to negotiate. Deontay and I could just decide that we are going to create a group that's Erie's Concerned Citizens. I think that already exists. And we are demanding a community benefit agreement by Nick Scott.
Anybody, you heard that?
We would like to meet with you to discuss why it would be beneficial to you and why you should do this and how it will benefit our community. And then, you know, we'll also communicate to you what would happen if you didn't do it.
Right.
Now, as elected officials, that's not a threat in any way. But what that's saying is that if you want a smooth, easy transition, you want no one showing up for 4 hours at your permit hearing, you want nobody to show up and write letters to the editor, you want no public awareness campaign against your project, then you need to give something back to make sure that we do something.
And I don't think.
And you know why I'm saying that? I know this shit can be done, and I'm kind of annoyed whoever said it's not that easy. I don't know what it's because everything that I've said tonight has been done. Literally everything I've said tonight has been done, and it's something I've witnessed firsthand with my eyes. So to whoever was like, it's not that easy, man, get better at what you do. I don't even know who said that.
I know who it was, and we're going to leave it at that, man. But listen, man, I definitely appreciate I'm hungry. So, I mean, somebody said he said he went 6 hours. Keep going, y'all. I'm hungry, man. We got to wrap this up. But listen, man, make sure that y'all reach out to EJ if you got any questions. You know, we're going to keep it going. We're gonna make sure we keep this live stream up, and it's on the YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on here because, like, and I don't know if a lot of people noticed that when I had the town hall meeting, me and you kind of had that back and forth about football. It's like, you know, this is a bad day, and then the next time, I'm like, yo, I need you to be part of the town hall, and I just wanted people to know, understand that, like, it's important to have conversation and not to hold grudges over little stupid things, because you never know who you connect to, who can teach you some things and can educate you on some things. And I'm glad to be able to have your phone number and have a relationship with you, and didn't let some silly Facebook back and forth in the comment section make it seem like we couldn't work together and work with one another. So I definitely appreciate you coming on here. That's pretty much all I got. I'm gonna pass it over to Malcolm to close the show, and then we're gonna let EJ close it. If Malcolm ain't got nothing else, we're gonna let EJ close it out. But
I'm happy that I got a chance to really sit down with you and listen, because I only got to ask a couple questions at the time.
Yeah.
And it was like you gave 2 minutes and somebody else gave 2 minutes, but to actually sit down and learn a little bit about Erie, where money goes, how you get money. I mean, we teaching the people how to get grants, how to make sure that businesses are sustained in Erie. That's the main thing that people need to understand. Like, we can't keep getting a grant and then open up something and we lose it in 6 months. Like, we gotta find a way that we support each other if we want to build this community. So I appreciate you for getting on here. He always talk about bag talk, but you brought that bag talk tonight. And I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Take us home, EJ. What you got for us?
Yeah, no, I just thank both of you, and thanks for all the work both of you do in the community and everything. And I would say if there's anybody out there that does have questions, you know, my phone number is public. It's posted. It's 814-566-8331. It's been public for a while. Call me. I have no problem talking to you. If there's been a bunch of people who randomly hit me up and ask me for advice, and you know, a lot of those people I still stay in contact with. So I'm definitely open to helping if you have any questions. And caveat, I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers. I make mistakes. I've done a lot of stupid shit. But you know, I'm really trying hard, and so I hope you do too.
Absolutely, man. So there you have it, man. Another live show with another great guest. That is this. I'm Deontay Cooley, Malcolm Pulliam, EJ Fyke. We are signing off. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. And if you want to watch it back, you can find it on our YouTube page. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. And then also, we need more followers on our Facebook page so we can stream this live from our Facebook. I don't want it to keep streaming it from our personal page. So please make sure that you go and like the Social Impact Plight of the Black Man show. Make sure that you download the Black Says Media app. Make sure that you lock that radio in your car in WICU 92.7 HD2. But that is all we have. It's been a good 2 hours worth of conversation. I think it was very beneficial. So make sure that you tell your friends that look into CBAs, and let's figure out how we can build our Erie community. But that's all we have for y'all tonight, man. Y'all have a good one. Thank you. We appreciate